What's the easiest way to create beautiful layered stamping? While using a stamp positioning tool, of course. Let's play. Hello and welcome back to another Take Two with Therese at Altenew. And today I have two beautiful cards to share with you using the Antique Roses stamp set. This is a layering stamp set, and I'm going to be running the stamp wheel through its paces to do multiple layering stamps and creating multiple images at the same time. So in the stage, actually, you'll see a plastic photopolymer mat, and that actually holds the paper in place as you are stamping. The flip plate, I've just added an enamel dot there that I know that's gives me a bit of a visual reference about where I'm at when I'm stamping, because I can look at that and see where I need to stamp. So I laid the stamp down on the cardstock, picked it up with the flip plate, and then I do actually condition it just to make sure that I get a really good impression with the inks, because I'm going to be using some light coloured inks today. In fact, I've got the frozen sorbet, no, I want sorbet, the Frozen Delights set for my base colours today. But here is where I came into a bit of a problem. I didn't actually plan out my stamp very well here. When I turned my plate 90 degrees, I actually didn't have enough room to die cut the image. So how I got around this was I actually turned it 2 turns instead. And what that means is I can look at that little enamel dot that I've got and just make sure that's just in that left corner each time I stamp the image. Made it very easy to do. The next image was pretty easy because I just had to turn it the full 180 and it just stamped exactly where it needed to be. If I had been a bit more organized, I probably either would have just placed my initial stamp a little bit better onto the flip plate, but there is ways to work around. That's the great thing about this, is you can actually keep twisting this plate around. One thing that it's awesome for is to actually make your own wreath shapes. So you can create wreaths with whatever stamps you've got. It's so much fun. I'm going to have such fun with this. Alright, so I'm working through all of the layers here now, and I will have them listed in the description below, but also over at the blog. I'm using the Woodland Escape inks with these Frosted Delights, and it just gave such a beautiful antique kind of colour to these roses. And you can see there how easy it was to lift the paper up off that photopolymer mat. Hey, this is where I learned from my first mistake. I realised the same thing was going to happen here, so what I did this time was I actually placed my images. These are 2 different leaf images. I placed them onto the cardstock and picked them up with the flip plate and made sure I was going to get my 2 stamps without having to kind of fight with the plate and my paper. I'm using the Frosted Foliage set of inks here, and they are stunning, gotta say. I did actually have to stamp the initial image here twice because I didn't get a very good impression. I don't think I prepped my stamps very well, but that's the great thing about a stamp positioning tool, is that you can come and restamp and know that you're going to be in exactly the right spot. As long as I know that my enamel dot is facing towards me, that's where I stamped it the first time. I'm going to do exactly the same thing here and just work through all of my layers. When I'm picking up my stamps, you might notice when there's 2 separate stamps like this, I actually lay one down, line it up over the leaf, pick it up on the flip plate, then lay the second one down and pick it up at a second press of the plate. I just find I get better alignment that way. If I try and line 2 stamps up at the same time, I always knock one and they don't end up nice and aligned on the layers. So pro tip there. Learn from my mistakes. Now, initially I wasn't sure how I was going to like flipping the plate as opposed to opening the hinge, but it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. It actually works really easily. One of my favorite parts of this though is the sticky grid mat, like this photopolymer mat that the card is actually placed on. I've been using this and doing my colouring while the cardstock's still in place, and then I can come back in and restamp the image. There are so many useful ways to use this new stamp positioning tool. So for my first card, I decided to add some foliage in the background, and I'm using the Eclectic Bouquet set as well as some more of the green inks. I did a card very similar to this recently, and I just loved the way it looked. Then I used a combination of glue tape and foam tape to create the bouquet for the front of my card, and added a sentiment which is from the Fancy Greetings stamp set, and both of the cards today got some white satin sequins. I thought they just went really well with this antique kind of feel for the roses and leaves. I just flipped the card over as well and snipped off the edge of that flower that was hanging over. So my second card is going to be very similar. I did do a couple of different base colours with the Frozen Delights. It might be difficult to see that on camera, but one was the strawberry and one was the orange. So I basically could come in and I used some darker colours on one of the roses and lighter colours on the second one. I just find that that gives you a variance without having to change up and realign and actually stamp out a second flower. I could just quickly stamp 4 flowers just by changing up the inks. It gave them a different look. This time I decided to add a sentiment from the Bold Sentiments set, and when I do cut them out, because I've stamped it on some white cardstock, I do like to come in, and I'm using the pure graphite marker here to cover the edges of the cut so you don't see that raw edge. I don't use my alcohol markers to do this because they can actually seep into the paper and ruin hard work. Not so bad on the black, but if you've got like a light coloured stamped image, it can make a big difference. So I'd like to know today if you like how these layered stamps came out using the new stamp wheel. Do you like the colours that I chose, or would you think that maybe I should have gone a little bit more like a real flower? Maybe something a little bit pinkier. And let me know in the comments below which one's your favourite. And if you did enjoy today's video, please click on the thumbs up button to let me know that you did. And if you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? It's totally free, and I've got more content coming for you very soon. Until then, I have 2 more videos for you to enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you there. Happy paper crafting. Bye.